Hi, welcome back guys, this is your friend, Mr. Fused Fiction Hub, bringing you another amazing story. This is the next part in A Bizarre Encounter. I am the author of this story, so let's begin. Smut is starting. Jotaro woke up feeling something soft and squishy, like two plush marshmallow-like pillows, with little buttons on each. As he stirred, he realized there was a slight resistance, as if he was up against a wall. His morning excitement made its presence known, gently tickling between two enticing mounds that pressed against his pelvis area. The fabric of his pajamas struggled to contain his anticipation, resulting in a pleasurable squeeze. As Jotaro squeezed the pillows, a soft moan escaped into the cozy morning air. He blinked his eyes open, only to find himself in a surprising embrace with Fasha, her naked body revealed as her nightgown had slipped off onto the floor. Jotaro's blush deepened as he kept his hands on her breasts, playfully giving them a gentle jiggle. Fasha shifted, facing him, and his morning excitement found its freedom, causing his pants to descend, unveiling his 8-inch length to the world. It eagerly found its place between her legs, eliciting a squelching sound as her arousal welcomed him. Fasha's body tensed and then relaxed, her walls enveloping his length. She ripped off his shirt. Fasha leaned in, her voice filled with pleasure as she softly whispered, "You seem quite eager today." Jotaro withdrew slightly, but Fasha's desire pushed him back in. To heighten the experience, Jotaro used her breasts as leverage, intensifying their connection. As their passion grew, Fasha's nipples became erect, responding to his touch. They continued their intimate dance, with Jotaro sensing an impending release building within him. As their bodies entwined, the bed became a canvas for their shared pleasure. Fasha's excitement intensified, causing her essence to leave a trail of ecstasy on the sheets. Waves of pleasure washed over her, resulting in a long moan and an unexpected release of gas, further fueling their intimate moment. Jotaro's length throbbed with anticipation, while Fasha's bites on his ear and neck. In the midst of their connection, the intensity grew as their bodies intertwined, leaving marks of their desire. Fasha's teeth grazed Jotaro's chest, drawing a hint of blood that added an unexpected flavor to their sensual experience. As the metallic scent filled the air, Fasha's senses heightened, a wicked smile curling on her lips. She took charge, rhythmically moving against Jotaro, teasing him with just a glimpse of his length. The manifestation of her stand, name of the game, caressed him, intensifying the pleasure. Jotaro felt an exquisite sensation building within him, but to his surprise, he couldn't find release. At that moment, a mysterious paper floated down, revealing the title "Death by Snoo effect. Can't come until Fasha tells you to." It granted Jotaro temporary Saiyan endurance and a permanent effect, allowing Jotaro to draw blood like a Saiyan. With a bemused expression, Jotaro whispered, Yeah days. "Does it bother you that you drew blood?" Jotaro asked, his voice hesitant as he looked up at the seducing monster. Fasha. She responded with a playful smile, saying, "It doesn't bother me, and it won't bother you either." As Fasha sat up, her breasts moving enticingly, the pressure in Jotaro's length became unbearable. Internally, he pleaded for release, but the pleasure kept him yearning for more. Fasha's gaze locked onto Jotaro as her pussy dripped with juices, coating his length. With a tantalizing pop, she got off him and positioned herself on all fours on the bed. "Enter me this way," she commanded. Jotaro nodded, feeling the mounting pressure in his length. Slowly, he slid it into her warm and inviting hole. With each movement, he squeezed Fasha's nipples between his fingers, eliciting intense pleasure that made her tremble. As Jotaro's teeth grazed her back, a trickle of blood emerged, and the metallic scent filled his nostrils. Sensing the opportunity, he stopped and began drinking from the wound, savoring the taste of blood until it ceased flowing and the wound healed. An overwhelming desire came over Jotaro to fuck this bitch and get her pregnant. The desire overwhelmed his senses as the pressure in his length didn't bother him anymore, as there was just a primal desire. His eyes dilated as he wanted to fight to take charge. Fasha smiled as she knew where was happening. Soon her smile changed to fear and lust as Jotaro smacked her ass, sending a ripple across her cheeks. Then he plunged his length in and out furiously. Fasha wasn't expecting the forcefulness of Jotaro. She moaned as she orgasmed. Jotaro grabbed her breasts forcefully by the nipples, pulling them toward him diagonally, then letting them go, making a big slap as her breasts flung forward, crashing together. Her breasts tangled there, moving all over the place from the impact. Fasha felt the force of Jotaro slamming into her from behind, making her body jiggle. This made the overwhelming pleasure higher. She tried to voice it, letting out a high-pitched scream and moan as she climaxed. This made Jotaro pull out. Good, it's finally over, before she felt her body move as Jotaro pulled her close, squeezing her breasts hard enough to spew milk if she could. He moved her down until his length smacked her in the face. This made Fasha take charge as she vigorously put it in her mouth. He could feel the pressure become painful through his desire. It had caught up to his senses, begging for release. Fasha could sense the storm in his length. She sucked his length, making it more unbearable. Pre-cum slipped out and it was sweet. Fasha knew she was done, but she kept going and going until his length was swollen, trying to release it. Jotaro's desire was too much as he grabbed her hair and moved quickly up and down, making her choke as his tip hit her asparagus. He kept doing this until Fasha put a hand up. He stopped. "Where do you want this?" said Jotaro. Fasha contemplated. She scooted on top of his length as it went inside. "Come," she said. The dam burst as Jotaro came, filling up Fasha as her stomach expanded with cum as it sloshed around inside. It started leaking out. "Stop!" It stopped as he pulled out. It looked like she hadn't scratched the surface. his length still swollen. She placed her mouth around it. Sane cum. Her cheeks filled up. She gulped. It was sweet as it made her ejaculate as juices and cum spilled on the sheets. Her body felt full and sluggish. She drank and drank until she had enough. She choked as more cum came in spurts. She pulled out. His cum went everywhere all over her body, which made Fasha more beautiful as it made Jotaro ejaculate even more, his length becoming less swollen. Fasha eagerly licked the cum into her mouth. It coated her breasts in white. As her tail curled around his length as cum slid down her body, she pushed Jotaro and gave him a kiss. As cum exploded between them, there was a gasp from the doorway revealing Holly, her face growing red. Jotaro pushed Fasha gently off him as cum shot into Holly's open mouth as she swallowed it. Chapter 10, Fasha's fiery first day. Saiyan Sass and Stand Scuffle. Kujo Mansion, Tokyo, Japan, age 737. 1989. Holly stood there to process what happened. She shook her head whispering young love, with a tear flowing down her face from memories of her husband. By the way, it's school today. I enrolled your girlfriend in as well. She gave a wink at Jotaro, who blushed. Fasha pressed her breasts against his back. The room was covered in white. His length was still cuming as it finally stopped. Fasha gracefully rose from the bed and made her way to the bathroom, enticing Jotaro to follow. As he stepped forward, he noticed his door still ajar, revealing Joseph and Avdol outside, who gave him a cheeky thumbs up before closing the door. They eagerly waited outside the shower, their bodies pressed against each other, feeling the warmth of their embrace. As the water started to flow, gradually warming up, they enjoyed the intimate closeness. In the bedroom, their diligent stands were busy cleaning the room, ensuring every trace of their previous activities was removed. Thanks to the extraordinary abilities granted by the mystical name of the game's effect abilities, the cleanup was effortless. Stepping into the shower, the cascading water washed away any remnants of their passionate encounter. A gentle trickle of water mixed with their shared pleasure, caressing their bodies. Sensually, her stomach softly deflated as the evidence of their connection gently escaped from her. In this intimate moment, Jotaro tenderly washed Fasha's back, the warmth of their bond resonating within them. Fasha lovingly washed Jotaro's back in the warm shower, the water cascading over them. Her Saiyan tail playfully curled around his leg as she hummed a tune, introducing him to a new melody. After they finished showering, they dressed themselves. It was then that Jotaro curiously asked why Fasha wasn't wearing any panties. She casually explained that the Saiyan race doesn't place much importance on modesty or nudity, which made sense considering he had glimpsed her enjoying the morning water au naturel. Jotaro, caught off guard, found himself blushing and feeling embarrassed when he unexpectedly developed an erection while still in his room. Fasha let out a mischievous giggle as Jotaro's words danced in the air. "Please wear panties to school, then you can sleep naked with me," he whispered, casting an intrigued glance her way. Jotaro's face flushed, realizing the suggestive nature of his comment. The school uniform shirt clung tightly to Fasha's figure, accentuating her curves and making her chest quite noticeable, including her visible nipples. Jotaro couldn't help but blurt out, "Don't tell me you're not wearing a bra." "Fine," Fasha replied, locking her gaze onto him. With a flick of her fingers, she unbuttoned her shirt, causing her breasts to push forward enticingly. Jotaro's excitement grew, leading to a familiar bulge that made itself known. He approached Fasha, taking the black bra in his hands and playfully playing with them, rubbing her nipples. After adjusting the straps and fastening the bra, her bosom jiggled, seemingly enhanced. With meticulous care, Jotaro buttoned up her shirt, all while planting passionate kisses on her neck. Fasha then sat on the bed, lifted her skirt, and adorned pink panties, before pulling her skirt back down. As she gracefully stood up, her eyes fixated on the fallen hat. Little did Jotaro know, this rare sight revealed Fasha in a captivating position, tempting him with her alluring posterior. Unable to resist the temptation, he succumbed to his desires, stepping forward to press his bulge against her enticing curves, causing a squeak of surprise to escape her lips. Jotaro proceeded to indulge in a vigorous butt-rubbing session, savoring the delightful sensations. Jotaro and Fasha stood in front of a mirror, taking a moment to tidy themselves up. Jotaro carefully placed a hat on his head, adjusting it just right, while Fasha straightened her blue skirt, ensuring it fell neatly around her. They were getting ready for the day ahead. As Jotaro reached for his jacket, he noticed Fasha pouting and lightly touching the fabric. Sensing her disappointment, he leaned in close and whispered, "We'll have our time later. The school has strict rules about couples." Fasha nodded understandingly, though a hint of longing still lingered in her eyes. Leaving the bedroom behind, Jotaro and Fasha walked together into the kitchen. The aroma of breakfast filled the air, a comforting scent that promised a good start to the day. They took their seats and joined Holly, who was already there, playfully teasing Fasha. "If you keep this up, Fasha, we'll have grandchildren before you know it," Holly joked, a mischievous twinkle in her eyes. Jotaro's face flushed with embarrassment, his cheeks turning a deep shade of red. Fasha couldn't help but giggle at Holly's remark, a playful smile gracing her lips. She glanced at Jotaro, appreciating the shared embarrassment between them. It was moments like these, filled with light-hearted banter and familial warmth that made their bond even stronger. Breakfast continued, laughter filling the room as they savored each other's company. They walked together, hand in hand, heading towards the school campus. As they approached, a group of familiar girls began to trail behind Jotaro, their voices calling out to him. "Jojo, hey, Jojo, where have you been for 4 days?" The girls bombarded him with questions, their curiosity evident. Fasha gripped Jotaro's hand tighter, seeking comfort in their connection. She could feel the stares and hear the whispers surrounding them. "Jojo, who is this girl? Hey, look at Jojo." The attention made her uneasy, but she held her ground. Suddenly, one of the girls forcefully pushed Fasha away, replacing her by Jotaro's side. Fasha felt tears welling up in her eyes, hurt by the girl's actions and the harsh words that followed. "Look, Jojo's girlfriend is crying. Maybe he chose you out of pity, but he's probably just interested in your body," another girl mocked, grabbing Fasha's breasts without consent. Overwhelmed by the cruelty directed towards her, Fasha's Saiyan tail involuntarily slipped out from under her skirt, a visible sign of her distress. The taunting continued, the girls insulting her heritage. "She's got a tail. You're a degenerate freak. I guess you got the worst genes from your pool," one of them sneered. "Yeah, go back to your family, you monkey," another girl added, pushing Fasha down. The girls formed a circle around Fasha, their words echoing in her ears. Fasha found herself trapped in a nightmare, her mind reliving a traumatic memory from her past. The girls surrounding her transformed into the oppressive figures of her childhood, and their cruel words echoed in her ears, reopening old wounds. As darkness swallowed her vision, she blinked and suddenly became transported back to the ruins of Planet Vegeta. In her mind's eye, she witnessed the haunting scene of the Saiyans gathered, their hopeful anticipation turning into dread as they prepared to greet their new tyrannical ruler. Kui, Zarbon, and Dodoria landed with an air of authority, followed by the infamous Jinyu Force and the rest of the oppressive Frieza Force. Cold, accompanied by Kikano, Berry Blue, Lemo, and his son Frieza, disembarked from their spacecraft, casting a shadow of fear and submission. King Vegeta and his retinue approached the imposing figures, extending their hands in a welcoming gesture. However, Cold showed little regard for their respect. "It's been a long time, King Vegeta," he said dismissively, his arrogance palpable. King Vegeta, ever loyal to his people, responded with a respectful tone, "It is an honor to have you here, great King Cold." Cold introduced Frieza to the Saiyans, revealing him as his son and the new ruler. "This is my son, Frieza. Please meet the Saiyan King," Cold announced. King Vegeta, though hesitant, kneeled before the despot, setting an example for the rest of the Saiyans to follow. "Oh, yes, it's a pleasure to meet you, Lord Frieza," King Vegeta said, trying to maintain a diplomatic demeanor. Frieza, relishing in his newfound power, responded with condescension, "I believe you'll find that the pleasure is all mine." Without wasting time, Cold declared his retirement, relinquishing his position to Frieza. "I'm retiring effective immediately. From now on, Frieza will be your commander." In other words, the Cold Force has now become the Frieza Force, Cold stated matter-of-factly. King Vegeta, realizing the implications, inquired cautiously, "Does that mean?" Cold interrupted, asserting that nothing would change except for Frieza's cruel nature, warning the Saiyans that his son had an even colder heart. With sadistic delight, Frieza addressed the Saiyans as monkeys, outlining his high expectations and warning them of his short temper. "I have such high expectations for you. For your sake, I hope you live up to them." To commemorate my rise to power, Frieza taunted, relishing in the fear he instilled. Frieza presented the Saiyans with scouters, advanced devices capable of detecting life forms and assessing battle power. As he demonstrated their functionality, he noticed snipers aiming at him from the castle battlements, ready to attack. "I brought along new combat items to aid you in your servitude. These devices are called scouters. You'll find they're far more compact and powerful than the sadly outdated surveillance scout sharp scopes you've been using. They also function as communicators. The display should be familiar. They show your target's position and battle power, just like your older scopes used to. It appears that a number of Saiyans currently have weapons trained on us. Let's see, the one hiding in that tower has a battle power of 2,000. That's quite an impressive number," Frieza remarked, showcasing his knowledge and control. In a display of swift and brutal power, Frieza eliminated all 4 mutineers without hesitation, leaving everyone present in a state of shock and terror. The chilling ruler then distributed 500 scouters to the Saiyans, a symbolic gesture of control and surveillance. "I will leave 500 units behind as a gift for your trips. If you don't think that's enough, feel free to complain," Frieza taunted, further establishing his dominance. As the Frieza Force fleet departed, leaving the Saiyans to their uncertain fate, King Vegeta's frustration and anger reached a boiling point. In a futile act of rebellion, he crushed his scouter in his clenched fist, a small act of defiance against the overwhelming power that now controlled their lives. The scene shifted, and Fasha found herself witnessing the destruction of Planet Vegeta from the escaping ship. She heard Frieza's cold words echoing in space, saying, "Goodbye, monkeys." Slowly, Fasha's breathing steadied as she returned to the present, her tears drying on her cheeks. She found herself back on the way to school, surrounded by the girls whose words had pierced her heart. Though shaken by their cruelty, she refused to allow their hurtful comments to define her. Summoning her inner strength, Fasha took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. A fiery determination ignited in her eyes, and with newfound courage, she reached out and slapped each girl in the circle, asserting herself and confronting the trauma that had haunted her for too long. The act of defiance sent shockwaves through the group, as Fasha reclaimed her power and refused to be a victim any longer. With unwavering determination, she forcefully pushed the girl who had dared to touch Jotaro away from him, asserting her rightful place by his side. Jotaro's face flushed with a mix of surprise and admiration. He was in awe of Fasha's strength and resilience. "Fasha," he murmured, his voice filled with a mixture of gratitude and affection. Fasha's heart fluttered at the sight of Jotaro's blushing face. She couldn't help but feel a surge of warmth and love for him. With a small smile, she leaned closer to him, their hands intertwining, symbolizing their unbreakable bond. They arrived at the school, Jotaro and Fasha making their way to the principal's office to collect Fasha's school schedule as a new student. Jotaro took the responsibility upon himself to show her around the school, ensuring she felt welcomed and comfortable in her new environment. The principal greeted them with a warm smile. "Ah, Jotaro and Fasha, I see you're here to get Fasha's schedule. Welcome to our school, Fasha. We're delighted to have you join us." Fasha nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She appreciated Jotaro's presence by her side, knowing he would be there to guide her through the unfamiliar hallways and classrooms. Jotaro received the schedule from the principal, giving him a quick glance to familiarize himself with the classes Fasha would be attending. "Thank you, Principal. We'll make sure Fasha settles in smoothly," he said confidently. Jotaro leaned closer, looking over her shoulder. "What classes do you have?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. Fasha's lips curved into a smile as she read through the list. "It looks like I have English, Math, History, Science, and Art," she replied, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "Oh, and it seems we have a few classes together." Jotaro's eyebrows raised in surprise. "That's great. It'll be nice to have you in some of my classes," he said, a hint of excitement in his tone. With the schedule in hand, Jotaro turned to Fasha, a reassuring smile on his face. "All right, let's get you acquainted with the school. We'll start with the main building, where most of your classes are located." They began their tour, Jotaro leading Fasha through the bustling hallways filled with students chatting and rushing to their next classes. He pointed out important areas, such as the library, cafeteria, and gymnasium, ensuring Fasha knew her way around. As they walked together, Fasha couldn't help but feel a sense of comfort and belonging with Jotaro by her side. His presence gave her confidence, making the unfamiliar surroundings seem a little less daunting. Jotaro took his time explaining the school's routines, sharing anecdotes about different teachers and highlighting interesting extracurricular activities Fasha might be interested in. His casual yet caring approach made Fasha feel at ease, fostering a connection between them that extended beyond the role of a guide. Throughout the tour, Fasha asked questions, eager to learn more about her new school and the opportunities it offered. Jotaro patiently answered each query, his genuine interest in helping Fasha settle in evident in his responses. By the end of the tour, Fasha felt more familiar with the school layout and its vibrant atmosphere. She couldn't have asked for a better guide than Jotaro, whose presence had turned what could have been an overwhelming experience into an exciting adventure. As they returned to the principal's office to bid farewell, Fasha expressed her gratitude to Jotaro. "Thank you, Jotaro. I really appreciate you showing me around. I feel a lot more confident now." Jotaro smiled back, his eyes filled with warmth. "No problem, Fasha. We're in this together. Welcome to our school." And with that, they parted ways. The bell rang, and Fasha's heart fluttered with nervous excitement. The anticipation of new subjects on Earth sent a thrill down her spine. As she gracefully made her way to the next class, her tail swayed hypnotically, invisible to the oblivious eyes around her. She chose a seat by the window, basking in the gentle sunlight that streamed through the glass. Suddenly, Jotaro, the embodiment of concern, strode into the classroom. Like a superhero sensing distress, he took his place in front of Fasha, ready to shield her from any impending storm. The teacher, an authoritative figure, entered the room with a commanding presence. "Welcome to English," the teacher declared, their words ringing with academic authority. "Today, continue where we left off in the English language." As the class progressed, Fasha's but her nervousness stirred something unexpected within Fasha, setting off a gassy chain reaction. As an unsettling feeling overwhelmed her, she couldn't contain it any longer and released a series of tiny farts. The classroom fell into a stunned silence, witnessing this unexpected turn of events. Amidst the mortification, Fasha burst into tears, her emotions running wild. Sensing her distress, Jotaro rose from his desk, striding over to Fasha with determination. He wrapped her in a tight embrace, fixing a piercing gaze on anyone foolish enough to utter a single word or even attempt a snicker. The atmosphere grew tense as Jotaro's unspoken message hung in the air: mess with her, and you mess with me. The teacher carried on with the lesson while Fasha and Jotaro sat side by side, diligently participating and answering questions when called upon. The teacher didn't mind their interaction, appreciating that Jotaro had transformed from his previous rowdy demeanor. This girl had a positive influence on him, bringing out his kinder side while still maintaining his unique style. As the teacher continued, a warm smile graced his face while jotting down the next English word. The lunchtime bell rang, signaling the start of the much-anticipated buffet day. Jotaro and Fasha joined the bustling crowd of students making their way to the cafeteria. Jotaro eagerly explained the concept to Fasha as they walked. It's buffet day, Fasha, Jotaro said with a smile. On the last school day of each month, they give us all the leftover food from previous school lunches. There's usually so much left over that it would just go to waste. So they let us take as much as we want. Fasha's eyes widened in excitement as they approached the cafeteria. The buffet table was a sight to behold, filled with a variety of dishes, mostly centered around rice. Her stomach let out an audible rumble, betraying her growing hunger. She had been hiding her true Saiyan appetite from the Joestars, not wanting to burden them with additional expenses. As they joined the line, Fasha noticed that everyone around her was grabbing their food and filling their plates, but she hesitated, waiting patiently as the minutes ticked by. Concern flashed across Jotaro's face as he realized Fasha hadn't moved. Hey, Fasha, why aren't you getting your food? Jotaro asked, his brow furrowing with worry. Fasha smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, Jotaro, I'm just waiting for everyone else to finish. There's still plenty of food left, and I don't want anything to go to waste. 30 minutes had passed, and there were only 10 minutes left for lunch. Most of the students were now engaged in conversations, unaware of the remaining food on their buffet table. Fasha's patience paid off as she seized the opportunity. Suddenly, Fasha sprang into action, grabbing a stack of plates and swiftly moving through the buffet line. She filled each plate with a variety of dishes, making the most of the remaining food. Her Saiyan appetite kicked into high gear, and she returned to the table with 20 loaded plates. The sight left everyone at the table astounded. Fasha sat down and started speed eating, the food disappearing in a blur. Jotaro's concern melted away, replaced with a mixture of amazement and amusement. The minutes flew by as Fasha continued her voracious eating spree. She went back to the buffet, refilling the 20 plates with more food. It seemed like a never-ending cycle as she devoured each plate within seconds, until finally, there was no food left. Fasha let out a satisfied belch, and the entire table erupted in a mix of laughter and astonishment. Jotaro couldn't believe what he had just witnessed in the last 10 minutes. How did you do that, Fasha? Jotaro asked, still in disbelief. Fasha leaned closer, whispering with a mischievous grin, the Saiyan race has massive appetites. We eat like this for every meal. Our bodies burn a tremendous amount of calories, so we need to consume a lot of food. I didn't want to burden you or break your bank account because of me. Jotaro's eyes softened with understanding and admiration. He gently rubbed Fasha's stomach, his voice filled with warmth. You don't have to worry about that, Fasha. We're family now, and we'll take care of each other. Your appetite is part of who you are, and we'll make sure you're well fed. No need to hold back. Fasha smiled gratefully, feeling a sense of acceptance and belonging. She was relieved to have found a place where her Saiyan heritage was understood and embraced. With their stomachs full and hearts content, Jotaro and Fasha continued to enjoy the rest of their day at school. The afternoon classes passed by smoothly, with Fasha gradually settling into the rhythm of her new school. As the final bell rang, signaling the end of the school day, Jotaro and Fasha made their way towards the exit. They walked side by side, exchanging stories and laughter along the way. Fasha couldn't help but feel grateful for Jotaro's support and understanding. Outside the school, Fasha turned to Jotaro with a playful grin. Hey, Jotaro, how about we grab some ice cream to celebrate surviving the buffet extravaganza? She suggested, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Jotaro chuckled and nodded. Sounds like a plan, Fasha. Let's go and treat ourselves to some sweet treats. Jotaro cast a casual glance behind him, only to discover that the swarm of girls who had been relentlessly pursuing him since morning had vanished into thin air. Ever since the start of high school, they had doggedly trailed his every step, harboring a suspicion that Jotaro would eventually succumb to their seductive charms and choose one lucky girl, or better yet, indulge in an extravagant harem. But lo and behold, when Fasha unleashed her dominant aura and put those girls in their place earlier, they scattered like startled pigeons, their dreams of a romantic conquest shattered. As Jotaro and Fasha descended the stairs, they noticed a figure standing at the bottom. He exuded an air of confidence and had a unique sense of style that caught their attention. His height was above average, and his slender build emphasized his sleek appearance. The mysterious individual wore a slim-fitting longakuran, a traditional Japanese school uniform, which accentuated his physique. His medium-length hair framed his face, with a notable feature being a large, twisting bang that hung in front of his eyes. It added an intriguing touch to his overall image. Cherry-shaped earrings adorned his ears, each earring fashioned as a long, fine arch ending with small spheres. The earrings added a subtle yet distinctive flair to his ensemble, hinting at a touch of individuality. As Jotaro and Fasha observed him, they couldn't help but be captivated by the picture he painted. His unique style and presence seemed to speak volumes about his personality, leaving them curious to learn more about the person behind the intriguing appearance. He moves his paintbrush with accuracy, completing the picture. Jotaro winced in pain as he fell down the stairs, his leg now sporting a deep gash. Fasha's heart raced as she quickly reached his side, concern etched across her face. She glanced back at the young man with the paint and canvas, trying to make sense of the situation. The mysterious artist seemed unaffected by the chaos he had caused, his attention solely focused on his artwork. His slender frame moved gracefully, his brushstrokes fluid and deliberate. Fasha's instincts told her that there was more to this individual than met the eye. Without hesitation, Fasha helped Jotaro to his feet, providing him with the support he needed. Together, they limped away from the scene, making their way to a nearby bench where they could assess the situation. "Are you alright, Jotaro?" Fasha asked, her voice laced with concern. Jotaro nodded, gritting his teeth against the pain. "Yeah, just a scratch. I'll be fine." As they sat on the bench, Fasha kept a watchful eye on the artist, who continued to create his masterpiece with an air of detachment. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something off about him, something otherworldly. The student, Noriyuki Kakyoin, approached Jotaro and Fasha with a calm demeanor. He spoke softly, his words carrying a hint of mystery and intrigue. "Must be powerful if he wants to eliminate him," Kakyoin whispered, his white scarf tied along his arm. Jotaro glanced at him, noticing his slightly feminine appearance. Concerned, Kakyoin offered Jotaro a handkerchief. "Are you alright?" Kakyoin asked, extending the handkerchief towards Jotaro. Jotaro examined the scratch on his arm and replied, "It's only a scratch." As Kakyoin turned to walk away, Jotaro called out to him, feeling a sense of curiosity about this new student. "Hold it," Jotaro said, making Kakyoin pause and turn back to face him. Jotaro's expression softened, and he extended his hand towards Kakyoin. "Thanks. We've never met before. Do you go to our school?" Jotaro inquired, his voice laced with genuine interest. Kakyoin regarded Jotaro for a moment. "Noriyuki Kakyoin. I just transferred here yesterday." "It's a pleasure meeting you," Kakyoin introduced himself. He walked away. Thanks for listening to this tale. Make sure you comment, like and subscribe and have a wonderful day.